What if stress is not something that's ruining your life, but something that's trying to teach your brain how to survive in a changing world? And what if just 15 minutes could change how your mind reacts for the rest of the day? Most people think stress means something is wrong with them, but neuroscience tells a very different story. Stress is not a mistake. It's a signal. Inside your brain, stress begins before you even notice it. Your senses collect information, and your brain constantly predicts what will happen next. When something feels uncertain or threatening, the brain prepares the body. Heart rate increases, breathing changes, muscles tighten, and attention narrows. This happens fast, often without conscious thought, because the brain evolved to keep you alive, not comfortable. The key player here is the amygdala, which scans for danger, and the prefrontal cortex, which helps you think clearly and make decisions. Under stress, the amygdala becomes louder and the prefrontal cortex becomes quieter. This is why stress can make smart people feel confused, emotional, or impulsive. It's not weakness. It's a temporary shift in brain priority. Short-term stress can actually be useful. It sharpens focus, strengthens memory, and increases reaction speed. This is why people can perform well under pressure. But when stress becomes constant, the brain stays in survival mode too long. Cortisol remains elevated, memory processing changes, and emotional regulation becomes harder. Over time, the brain starts to expect threat everywhere. This is where neuroplasticity comes in. The brain changes based on repeated experience. If stress is repeated daily without recovery, the brain strengthens stress pathways. Worry becomes automatic. Calm feels unfamiliar. But the same plasticity that builds stress circuits can also rebuild balance. The brain does not care whether patterns are good or bad. It cares about what is repeated. Memory plays a powerful role in this process. The brain does not react only to the present moment. It reacts to predictions based on the past. If past experiences taught the brain that pressure leads to failure or pain, the brain becomes protective. Stress becomes stronger, even in safe situations. But when the brain experiences new outcomes, memory updates and predictions soften. Processing speed also changes under stress. The brain shifts from slow, thoughtful processing to fast, automatic processing. This saves energy, but reduces flexibility. You may notice rigid thinking, overgeneralizing, or emotional reactions that don't match the situation. Understanding this removes shame. Stress changes how the brain works, not who you are. Modern neuroscience now views stress as a training signal. The question is not how to remove stress, but how to help the brain recover and learn from it. Recovery tells the nervous system that danger has passed. Learning tells the brain to update its future predictions. Even brief moments of safety can start this process. From a future thought perspective, researchers are discovering that small, intentional practices can reshape the stress response faster than we once believed. The brain responds strongly to consistency, not intensity. 15 minutes of the right signals can begin shifting neural circuits related to attention, emotion, and memory. This means stress does not have to define your mental future. It can become information rather than a burden. When the brain learns that pressure does not always mean harm, wisdom begins to develop. The mind becomes better at distinguishing real danger from noise. And that is where true resilience starts. Think about a normal, stressful moment, like opening your email and seeing a message you didn't expect. Before you read a single word, your body already reacts. Shoulders tighten, breathing becomes shallow, and your attention locks in. This happens because the brain predicts threat before facts arrive. Stress begins as anticipation. not reality. One of the most reliable science-backed tools is breathing, but not in the way people usually imagine. Fast, deep breathing can increase stress. Slow breathing, especially with a longer exhale, tells the brainstem that danger has passed. When the exhale is longer, the vagus nerve activates, heart rate slows, and cortisol begins to drop. Even 2 or 3 minutes of this kind of breathing can change brain activity. The amygdala becomes less reactive, and the prefrontal cortex regains control. Over time, the brain learns that stress does not always require emergency mode. This is how short practices create long-term change through repetition. Another powerful method is grounding through the senses. Stress pulls attention into imagined futures or replayed pasts. Bringing attention to physical sensations interrupts this loop. Feeling your feet on the floor, noticing temperature, or listening to background sounds activates sensory networks that compete with anxiety circuits. This is not distraction, it is neural balance. The brain cannot fully panic and fully sense at the same time. When sensory input increases, threat processing decreases. This is why grounding works even when logic fails. Memory reframing is also critical. When stress appears, the brain often reacts to an old memory pattern. You can weaken this link by labeling the experience. Silently saying, "This is stress, not danger," helps the brain separate emotion from meaning. Over time, memory updates and predictions change. Movement is another proven tool. Stress prepares the body for action, but modern life traps that energy. Walking, stretching, or light exercise allows the stress response to complete its cycle. This reduces lingering cortisol and increases chemicals that support neuroplasticity. Real-world evidence supports this. People who take short movement breaks during stressful days report better focus and mood. Brain imaging shows improved communication between emotional and logical regions after movement. The body teaches the brain that it is safe again. Social connection also matters more than people realize. Even brief, positive interaction releases oxytocin, which reduces stress chemistry. A calm voice, a shared smile, or feeling understood signals safety to the nervous system. The brain evolved to regulate stress socially, not alone. Interpretation changes everything. Studies show that people who view stress as a sign of readiness perform better under pressure. The same physical sensations are present, but the meaning changes. When stress is seen as energy rather than threat, the brain responds differently. These tools work not because they remove stress, but because they teach the brain flexibility. Stress becomes a signal, not a command. The nervous system learns recovery. Memory learns safety. Processing becomes clearer. 15 minutes a day is enough when those minutes are intentional. The brain is shaped by what happens repeatedly, not occasionally. Small daily practices send a consistent message. You are not in danger, and learning can continue. Looking ahead, neuroscience is changing how we understand stress and the human mind. Researchers are no longer asking only how stress harms us, but how it shapes learning, judgment, and long-term wisdom. The brain is not designed to avoid stress completely. It is designed to adapt, update, and grow through it when recovery is present. Future research shows that resilience is not about being calm all the time. It is about how quickly the nervous system returns to balance. People with high resilience still feel stress, but their brains recover faster. This recovery speed predicts mental health more accurately than stress exposure itself. As science advances, we are seeing stress responses as personalized patterns. Each brain reacts differently based on genetics, experience, and environment. This means the future of stress solutions is not one-size-fits-all routines, but flexible tools that teach self-awareness and regulation. Wisdom, from a brain perspective, develops when emotion, memory, and logic work together. Stress that is processed rather than suppressed strengthens this integration. People who learn to work with stress often develop better perspective, patience, and emotional insight. The brain becomes less reactive and more thoughtful over time. Memory also changes with maturity. When the brain repeatedly experiences stress followed by recovery, it updates its predictions. Future stress feels less threatening because the brain remembers successful adaptation. This is how confidence forms at a neurological level. Processing improves as well. When stress no longer hijacks attention, the prefrontal cortex stays online longer. Decision-making becomes clearer. Emotional reactions slow down. This is not about controlling emotions, but about giving the brain enough safety to think fully. Future technologies already reflect this understanding. Wearables measure recovery, sleep quality, and heart rate variability, showing how daily habits shape nervous system health. These tools are not meant to judge, but to teach awareness. The brain changes faster when feedback is visible. Meaning also plays a powerful role. Studies show that stress connected to purpose is less damaging. When people understand why effort matters, the brain activates reward circuits that buffer stress effects. This is why people can endure challenges when they feel their actions matter. From a future thought perspective, mental health is moving away from avoidance and towards skill building. The goal is not to eliminate pressure, but to build systems that help the brain recover, learn, and adapt. This approach respects biology instead of fighting it. The hopeful truth is that your brain is never finished. Neuroplasticity continues across the lifespan. Learning, movement, connection, and reflection all support change, regardless of age. Stress does not freeze the brain unless it becomes chronic and unexamined. 15 minutes of intentional practice may seem small, but to the brain, consistency is powerful. These moments become reference points. Over time, the nervous system learns that stress is temporary, memory updates, processing sharpens, wisdom quietly develops. So when stress appears, it doesn't have to be a warning sign of failure. It can be a reminder that your brain is trying to help. With the right tools, that effort becomes more refined, more balanced, and more human. And that is the future science is pointing toward, not a life without stress, but a mind that knows how to move through it, learn from it, and emerge stronger, clearer, and wiser on the other side.